Hi YouTube, welcome back to Wtf Rc Cars. So, update on things that we've done to make this more race worthy. And I must admit, it seems to be driving really nice now. It's definitely a lot more compliant. I've got a little bit work to do on it because the back end seems to come round quite easy if you turn sharp. But I've definitely got no issues with making sharp corners. That is a definite. What I've done is moved the front shocks onto the furthest out mark. I've moved the bottom mount all the way to the bottom. I've done the same on the rear, which has brought the ride out down a lot because I were getting a lot of grip roll, and that's completely eliminated it. I think possibly I might want some thicker shock oil in front because I'm getting a little bit of chatter. Like if it goes over some tape on track, kind of does that, but I'm not sure if that is just sort of movement in the Tamiya suspension, because it does seem like it. But maybe we could do with some weaker springs or some thicker sort of shock fluid. We've still got travelling suspension, so that works fine. The front diff I have filled with 1 million diff fluid, so stuck some of this Core RC 1 million CST in it, and really does seem to have helped. It's that thick, it's not even going to try and come out of the stock diff. The rear, still haven't put anything in it. It's still quite open, so that might be sort of leading to the back end trying to come round quite a lot. But we're still running stock motor, stock Carson ESC. The Surpass Hobby servo has been absolutely fine. There is quite a lot of slop in this really cheap aluminium sort of steering kit, but that said, there's also a lot of slop in the stock suspension, so not really convinced that it's going to make any difference to it. I've swapped the wheel hexes out to some 8mm hexes, and they seem to have brought it perfect with the end of the wheel nuts, so it's made it slightly wider, which has definitely helped. But yeah, it's starting to be a really fun little RC. Did manage to win one of the finals with the first outing, but it were hard work. This time, with the changes we made to it, I won the final that I were in. Not easy, because there were some quite skilled guys there, but it was a convincing win. Definitely weren't fighting with the RC just to stop from it inside at track, and that was a lot of fun. Stock motor's still holding up pretty well. Running it on the Noble Pro with the FGR4S receiver, no range issues or anything like that, and it's really responsive as always with FlySky. But yeah, just a few changes just to keep you up to date. The only issue I've had is the bottom of the shock come unscrewed. I thought it were handling a bit weird, and when I finished race, the bottom of the shock had unscrewed. Funnily enough, it all stayed in place. We were just running on a spring with no damping. But yeah, these shocks do seem to work quite well on it. The body is definitely looking a little bit worse for wear, which if you're going to go racing, they get battered. It's just par for course really. But it's holding up. I do have the Tamiya aluminium rear spoiler and a polycarbonate wing coming, because the original one died first outing, and they do feel a bit heavy then. So hopefully that'll be here at some point. The Schumacher tyres, they're still lasting pretty well. Really grippy, and they don't look too bad at all. But it seems pretty good at minute. I think there's still a few things we can do to improve it. I want to get some shims on these because there's too much play in them. So I'm going to look for some shims that will fit just behind these X's, just to take the slop out of it. But the diffs and the gearing seem to be holding up well. We've also got the high-speed gear kit in here, which I've just changed the... I've only changed the spur, not changed the pinion. But the meshing's absolutely fine on it. And it seems to be holding up pretty good. Still got the stock servo saver on. And I were a bit dubious as to whether that'd last. But to be fair, it's holding up really, really well. And it's not had an easy time. So, yeah. Overall, pretty happy with this little TT-02 now. I must admit I was slightly disappointed on first drive. It would definitely seem lacking, but definitely not now we've changed a few bits. I don't think you necessarily need to upgrade to the metal steering setup for racing, because they don't seem to take any slop out of it, and you don't really need any adjustment on it. It's just a nice to have, but once you've got it set up once, you're going to leave it. I'd like to try it with the... so I found some, I believe, the 2-degree towing rear hubs. So I'd like to try it with that when they arrive and see if that improves it. Because if you get on power a little bit early, it's kind of trying to come round front. And I would like it to sort of push the front end a bit more in corners rather than try and come round. But we'll have to see how that one works out. But overall, pretty impressed with it. And if anybody's thinking of getting into racing these TT-02s or the Tamiya tub chassis class, definitely a fun class to race in, especially with stock motors. You're not throwing crazy money at it, and it is a hell of a lot of fun. Definitely worth checking with your local track what the regs are, what they run. But if I was to advise someone to do it again, I'd probably say go with the TT-01 chassis, because it doesn't need the drive shafts upgrading straight away out at box. But the TT-02 does seem a pretty bulletproof chassis to run with. It's just the front drive shafts will pop out constantly if you run the stock ones. But other than that, it seems pretty bulletproof. I'm quite surprised at how the standard diffs hold up and the standard sort of gearing. But yeah, it is a lot of fun, and just a few things we've done to it to make it better. If anybody's got any ideas what I could do or try to improve it, drop a comment below. I do read all my comments, or at least I try to. I try to answer them as well. But so, thanks again for watching Wtf Rc Cars. If you like this kind of content, don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, share to friends and family, and I'll catch you guys again in the next one.